Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning into the Problems to Life podcast channel. I'm your host, Nevin Lama, and today we have a really good topic to discuss. A topic so mysterious, so unknown, and yet it's so prevalent in recent generations such as Gen Z and millennials, according to the American Psychological Association. A topic that has the power to kill, but the stealth to go unnoticed. It's something that many don't believe exists or matter, and that thing is mental illnesses. They are silent and as deadly as physical illnesses, and it's becoming an increasing trend in many recent reports. They take the lives of those around us without any warning signs sometimes, and it feels unfair to see that even someone who is such a successful person can lose himself to depression. Today's question is, how does mental illness affect the lives of those that have it, and how can others notice it or even help with people that have mental illnesses? Mainly, depression and anxiety are the commonest ones according to the Our World and data. These will be the main topic of discussion. But first, what exactly is anxiety and depression? However, with the recognition that depressions can persist for many years, the current diagnostic classification system includes various forms of chronic depression. The distinction between chronic and non-chronic depressions is useful for reducing the heterogeneity of the disorder. This is a quote from Klein D.N. 2010. The reason why depression as a form of mental illness eluded so many researchers for so long is its nature to be unpredictable. Depression is a spectrum. There is no definitive answer to what it is. There is no way to accurately depict what depression is, and it's even worse when it manifests differently person to person. Even for me, I've developed depression and very intense cases of anxiety coming from a background of parents that loved me and spoiled me. Even things that seemed good on the surface level can plant the seeds of depression early on. As early as I could remember, I've been spoiled, yes. My parents would love me with everything they have, give me things that I would want even if I had to earn them with good grades and such. They pampered me, loved me, nurtured me to full, and even to this day they still do. I received something that many people haven't had in their lives and grew up having it easier than others. My experience was so much more different compared to other stories I heard as I grew up in life, and I realized how much differently I was raised. I was sheltered and smothered in a love filled with anxiety that I would get hurt or learn bad things and constantly never trusted by my parents. I didn't know anything about what kids my age liked. I was held back from learning about the world and I had an authoritative mother that stopped me from a lot of things, especially taking responsibility for many things. I was spoiled rotten to the point I didn't have common sense about small things, learn about the world around me, and so much more. Especially the pressure to be good for everyone else since I was their only child and had to be a plaster child for everyone else to see. This led to really intense depression and social anxiety developing in my life recently as well. It's ruthless and it doesn't have any mercy, taking those that supposedly seem to be living a happy life in tandem with those that struggled through life and are tired of it. That's why it's developed into what I have today. Just like those out there with the same thing as me, my foot shakes. I look around and avoid eye contact. I walk a certain way to avoid people. I don't talk to people. I shake sometimes. I have so many anxious thoughts and tics. It becomes a constant shackle and chain that makes it feel like sometimes I'm trudging through quicksand whenever I walk outside normally. This is life through my lens, my perspective. Someone that has intense anxiety. Understanding anxiety. Anxiety is this construct of emotions and thoughts in someone's head that constantly questions, overthinks, and doubts the person at every turn. It can lead to so many issues, sometimes on a day-to-day level. And one important factor that both influences it and grows it and also is affected by it at the same time is school. These anxiety loops are everywhere in school, and a good example of it is in school performance. A quote from Minhajan J. and Rappaport N. in 2012 states, "A student with high anxiety can fall behind academically because he or she is distracted and has impaired verbal working memory skills when anxious." Hopko et al. 2005. Anxiety quite literally takes over their mind and can be the reason why cognitive and behavioral functions freeze or shut down and get in the way of interactions, socializations, and every, especially school performance. Elegant, S.K. Onichio, C.B. in 2017, February 13. And when they realize their performance is worsening in school, they feel even worse and even more afraid. They realize their performance is worsening in school. They feel even worse and even more afraid. Afraid of what their parents would say, afraid of what their teachers would say, afraid of what people around them would say, etc. If thoughts were to be like water, a normal brain would be a lenient river, smooth and fresh, clean and slow. And if it branches off, it does it nicely. For anxiety, however, it would be a thunderstorm rather than water coming together in one big area. And there's no real distinction between thoughts or real worries between thoughts. Anxiety highlights every single little detail, and the smallest detail can set off a chain of events that can seemingly come out of nowhere. That's why a thunderstorm is more accurate, in which the same volume of water can be delivered, but the water is in the form of individual droplets where each has its own volume, amount, and speed. Segment 3. Now that we know what these illnesses are or what is defined by them, how can we help them? How can we help and treat, quote unquote, treat these mental illnesses? Now, here's where the difficult part comes into play. What can we do about common mental illnesses such as anxiety or depression? To answer that question simply, there is no cure. There's no surefire way of helping anybody. And as much as there are trained therapists or psychologists that go by the textbook, they never help either. It doesn't matter how much research is done, there is no scientific or defined way to treat someone with depression or anxiety. There are basic rules and a foundational understanding you can apply to every case, but that is as far as it goes. To express this, I brought in someone that I know has gone through a fair share of things in her life and ended up not only a therapist, but even a mental hospital as well. A place whose intention is to help those with mental illnesses, a better word being fixed. I will now introduce my dear friend Kelly. Hello, Kelly. How are you doing today?
I feel horrible. The the sickness is getting to me, but good.
Great. So let's start this off by asking, what places have you been to when you were undergoing the full force of your mental illness, and how were your experiences in those places?
I was pretty suicidal. I wanted to kill myself every single day. I cried. I had trouble eating. Eating disorder happened, and overall, I just couldn't start focusing on what I needed to do. So then my life just went downhill from there. I went to the doctor for a checkup one day, and they usually give you like this form where you check out like how your mood and what you've been up to and basically yada yada yada. And one of these days I decided to be honest, right? And then the doctor and I had a talk. I told her that I was feeling suicidal and I was pretty feeling depressed and I just wasn't in the best place I was in that time. And she went and told my mom after I begged her not to because I knew that it was going to make things worse and nothing was going to fix it. And she still went ahead and did it. And then after that mental hospital incident, I came back about 2 weeks later for another therapy session. This time, I had to fly my way out of therapy because my mom also thought I was a freak and that I was a dishonor and that I should not be given therapy because that would make me an outcast. And she didn't want her daughter to be an outcast. So I had to lie my way out of therapy. Yeah, that's it. That's my experience.
Thank you for your time today, Kelly. You've helped a lot, and I hope you do well. As Kelly has stated, it is impossible to put a pin on what depression and anxiety is since it differs person to person, and things that might affect one person might not affect another person the same. And that's why the most important thing is to keep an open mind and listen to the person. Listening doesn't just mean hearing what they have to say, it's hearing, validating, and accepting what they say to create a safe space for them to heal. These people are in situations where they feel trapped. They can't express themselves and have to lie to cover it up, just like Kelly. Therapy and mental institutions don't work at all, and more often than not, they lead to worse situations completely, especially when exposed to parents or people that are very close minded and don't understand what they go through, and just brand them as shuns, social outcasts. That's why communication with someone trustworthy is the best solution to mental illnesses. One of the best. It doesn't matter who. Trust can be anything, from reassurance to a safe place to comfortability. It boils down to just making the person's voice heard and making them feel alive and validated. And that's the truth to it all. As I wrap up this podcast, I have a few important words for those listening in on this. Someone, somewhere out there, I'm sure you're listening in on this and can share the same actions and experiences as me. Or maybe these are completely new things to you. If you can feel the same way as I do, don't let it go unnoticed. Find someone you can trust. Learn to trust and don't be afraid to find help. And most importantly, don't ever think you are different or wrong for anything. And for those that have to deal with someone with it, or possibly have someone that has it, but you don't know how to deal with it, like parents or children, don't be afraid to develop a trust, safe, and comforting environment and let them open up to you. Justify them and make them feel loved and okay to be the way they are. Validate them, love them, and they'll bloom like a flower in the morning sun to you. Thank you.